All right. Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order at 12:07. 2:07. Yeah, thanks, Julie. All right, and I'm going to go through roll call. So Brittany here, Jennifer here, Julie here, Elizabeth is excused, Tracy is excused, Patrick is excused, Tom
Here.
and Bruce. I know Bruce is on the line. I know he wasn't sure if his mic was going to work today, so. Bruce, you can always call in if you'd like that option as well. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the agenda.
This is Jen, I so move.
I'll second it.
Second by Tom. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion carried. We have a 3-minute per person public comment section. If anybody on the line would like to make public comments. I know we have a lot of people on the meeting today as part of the discussion for the contractual GIS services portion. So if anybody wants to make a public comment now, feel free to. Otherwise, if we have questions moving on, we can see if we want to ask them then. One more call for public comments. Okay, moving on to item number 4, approval of the last line information council meeting, December 8th, 2022.
This is Jen, I move to approve the minutes. This is Julie, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried. Okay, and then moving on to item number 5, discussion and action to select a bid for our contractual GIS services to assist in GIS data remediation of the next generation 911 data. So I will just kind of kick this discussion off. We had 4 bids in alphabetical order. We had CloudPoint Geographic, Datamark, Geocom, and Mission Critical. Each 4 companies did meet all the bid requirements, and each 4 did state that they could complete the project in 9 to 10 months, which is our timeline for the grant. This project is fully grant funded through the Department of Military Affairs GIS grant. This is the 2023 grant, which we have already been awarded. And so the contractual services portion of this grant was just over $150,000. So all 4 bids are eligible to be fully grant funded. And I wanted to just kind of give a brief background on each 4 of the companies and how Ashland County has worked with them in the past. So I'll start alphabetically with CloudPoint Geographics. We have worked with CloudPoint in the past. I believe one of our biggest projects was the parcel fabric mitigation. They aided us with that. They had been used a lot prior to my position being hired about 5 years ago. So I haven't personally worked with them yet, but we do have a little bit of back history with them. The next company is Datamark. Ashland County has currently never worked with Datamark in the past. Right now, we do have a contract with them for a software for next gen 911 data. You put the data in and it kind of tells you where the red flags are. So if your ranges, your addresses are backwards or something like that, it brings up a flag. So we are currently working with them right now, but haven't in the past. One major thing to think about with Datamark is Bayfield County, who we recently got into a project to consolidate PSAPs with. Bayfield County is using Datamark as of a month ago or so to do their GIS data remediation. So as we move towards a consolidated PSAP, that might be a big piece of the pie to think about, with Datamark already working with Bayfield County on their data remediation. Moving on to Geocom. Geocom was our previous dispatch map provider. So we worked with Geocom for a number of years. Just into the tail end of me coming on, we had just switched over to Think GIS. So Geocom is also the state of Wisconsin's kind of company that they went with for their next gen 911 operations. And then the last company, Mission Critical, we worked with Mission Critical to do the PSAP consolidation study. They also helped in writing the grant that we were awarded, and they know the counties, Ashland and Bayfield, very well because they worked with us on that consolidation report. So we have 4 excellent candidates in front of us and a very hard decision. Does anybody have any questions right off the bat on any of these 4 proposals? Or the grant itself too? All right, I'm not hearing any, so I guess
I got one question. Why such from Geocom being so cheap compared to everybody else?
yeah, that is a good question. I'm not sure if we want to open the floor up. I believe a representative from each company is here, so I don't know if we
Okay.
want to open the floor to each of them. But I have heard from other counties that Geocom also came through with their lowest bids as well. So I don't know if it's just
Okay.
yeah, a marketing strategy maybe or something.
Okay.
It seemed I think as you went up in price, you got a little bit more services as well.
That's
If
what it
you-
looked like.
Yep. Any other questions, concerns? Okay. I guess Brittany, would make a motion that we go with Datamark as the consultant company and accept their bid.
I'll second that.
Do we need a roll call vote on this one, or can it just be a voice vote?
Just do a voice. Unless
Okay.
there's a call for it.
It's not a specific budget item, so I don't think we need a roll call. Okay. All right, so motion to select Datamark as the contractual GIS service consultant, seconded by Tom. All in favor, say aye. Any opposition? All right, motion carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 6. The discussion and action about the Ashland County parcel web map in 2024. Okay, so with this one, we have two options. I'll start with a brief background on this. So we currently use Applied Data Consultants, WG Extreme web map, and they are pulling their services for that web map as of January 2024. So we need to get something in place to provide that parcel web map service because it is widely used in the staff and in the public. So option number one is WG Extreme has worked with Beacon to provide kind of a carryover. So I think there's about 11 other counties currently using WG Extreme. And so they were kind enough to find another vendor for us to just slide into. So Beacon is offering to waive the initial startup intake cost of about, I think, $12,000. So that is option number one, is to go with Beacon. It's very similar to WG Extreme. A lot of the same, buttons on the toolbar, search options, that kind of thing, along with the ability to purchase more add-ons. They service a lot of counties across the entire United States. So, and then option number two is to self-host the web map. And this would essentially look a lot like Bayfield County's current web map. So if you've used that, then you kind of have an idea of what ours would look like, except for, with the option of, customizing everything on the site that you see. So we already do have the hardware, the server, and the software, the enterprise, ArcGIS enterprise software. So doing the self-hosting would only be a setup fee, which the second proposal on this item is from North Point Geographic. And I believe that one was roughly $15,000 for that startup cost. And they told me in their quote, it's set a little bit higher just so that they didn't have to raise the amount. They do it by hours, so it kind of depends on how quickly we move through projects through each item. So yeah, those are two options. If you'd like, I can pull up each website, or I'm going to open it up to any questions right now.
Hey, Brittany, this is Rachel. Yeah, if you could pull up the websites, that would be great.
Yeah. I'm going to start with Bayfield County just because I know offhand how to get to their web map quickly. And then I'll probably have Jen just kind of move around the web map while I look up the Beacon website. Would you mind? Just kind of like, oh yeah.
Brittany, do you want me to just kind of talk about the site? Because I've used it a fair amount too. Okay, so yeah, so this is Bayfield County's web map. This is kind of your, initial screen that you get on. So fairly similar in that, you have the big map here with all the aerials, you have all the roads and municipalities, things like that. There's a, search function that comes up right away, where you can search by, last name, first name, parcel IDs. I believe, yep, there's an option for, oops, mouse is disconnecting, for building number or site address. Some people only know, an address and they want to look up who owns something. But that can all be done in this box here. There's also this box up here that I use frequently. That's just kind of a quick search. You can just kind of put in anything in there and it'll pull it up. The interface is quite a bit different than WG Extreme. Just in that yeah, things are just laid out a little differently. There's let's see. Yeah, so you have a layer list that you access from the top of the screen. Oops. That I can't move. Okay. Let me see. Okay, yep. So all the different layers are here, you know, if we were to zoom in. Yeah, so there's they have building footprints and driveways, and I believe all this is customizable. I mean, we can list or we can display on the map literally whatever we want because it's our map and we host it ourselves.
Correct. Yeah, we don't have limitations on sizes of or amounts of layers we have.
But yeah, otherwise, I mean, the basic functions are very similar, you know, you uncheck things to show certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, just to mention it, both quotes are a replicate of what we have for the parcel map and then our zoning map as well. Along with, you know, just your basic parcel map features. And so, yeah, the sites, I think both kind of equally can complete the same tasks. You know, with the self-hosting and going with North Point as the setup, contractual setup, we have a little bit more flexibility. You know, here's just like the base maps you can change, print function. You know, we've got share the map, and then a lot of people like to color the map or, you know, say here's the item you should be looking at or that kind of thing. I believe there's also a measuring tool. I know a lot of people like to measure how far, you know, a driveway is from something or that kind of thing. So you've got your measuring tools. Yeah. Okay, and then any other questions on the Esri parcel map?
Can you explain the key differences between the two, between what is offered between North Point and what's the other one, Beacon?
Yeah, real quick, I will go show a beacon map before we kind of touch into the differences. Let's go to Monroe County. And we want to view the map. All right. So I have viewed other, I would think I was peeking around Minnesota, but now they have officially got a few Wisconsin counties on, so we can take a look at this one. You know, kind of the same features, zoom, draw, measure, print, download, you know, those are kind of your basic things. here's where you can toggle on and off your layers on the left side. Let's just zoom in. Take a look. Whoops. So if we move with Beacon, we can essentially have like a replication of what we're doing with WG Extreme. And that is my intentions for self-hosting as well, is at first just kind of have the exact same thing. So it's not a major shift for but people viewing the site that are used to looking at WG Extreme, because I'd like to lessen the confusion as much as possible. So it'd probably be a little bit before I started making some slow changes to what we have going on. If we self-host, it looks like here's the search. So a little different than what we're used to. Looks like it opens a new window. But I'm sure if you know what you're searching, you can just click on the map again. Yeah. I'm not sure if Sarah is on the meeting. I see there is a phone number. Sarah, is that you by chance? If we have any specific questions, I do have a contact with Beacon that I've been working with, so. One of the main things that I saw about Beacon was currently with WG Extreme, we were paying just over $3,000 a year for them to host the web map and have weekly updates of the GIS data. It was instant updates with the tax roll data just because of how the servers are set up. So Beacon said they could replicate that. And additionally, the self-hosted Esri map can also replicate that. That's part of the North Point contract. With the Beacon, that is much lower than their normal consulting fee for this. So annually it was going to continue to raise. I saw in the next, if you look at the Beacon quote, it was going to raise till 4,000 in the next 5 years, I think was.
Yeah, by 2025, it would reach 4,200.
Right. And then as I was talking to other counties that were considering Beacon, they said it was going to continue to price raise up until around the $10,000 to $13,000 annually. So that's a significant change from our 3,000 amount that had stayed steady for a couple years. Now, WG Extreme wasn't making updates to their site, so I can understand why that stayed steady for a while, and I can see the point where Beacon is, keeping up to date with online mapping, because it is comparable to if you self-host with the Esri software. But that is a big price change. I know an extra 2,000 isn't too bad, but if it continued to go up to $10,000 a year, we don't have that in the budget as it stands, today or next year for the web map. So that is one of the nice things is we already have the software and hardware to self-host. And when we made those large purchases, that was one of the things this council was looking at was self-hosting the map. And with having a GIS coordinator, I think it makes sense to self-host. I'm here to manage the GIS data, so I'm already doing that all day long. If somebody needs a change right now, they get a hold of me and then I have to reach out to the vendor, and that can take, if they're free, it can take, a day or it could take a week to get that change. Additionally, we didn't have the best of luck getting those changes made anyways, so the data would be there, but for some reason on the web map, it wasn't showing up. So it's just a lot of back and forth for me to work with a vendor instead of just solve the problem and fix the solution myself, because I'm capable of doing that with the GIS data and, you know, the fonts, the colors, the sizes, all of that's adding data, removing data. You know, if there's an error on the data not loading, you know, I feel confident about fixing all of that. Bayfield County did use North Point Geographic to set up their web map. It was a number of years ago. But I feel confident in their ability to set this up securely. You know, one of the main things was to have replication from an in-house server to an out of the firewall server. And that's one of the pieces of the North Point quote, is to set that replication up so that the public is not inside the server, because I know, or inside the firewall, that's a big safety issue. So
If we self-post, Brittany, will we link it with our tax information then, so we can go right to there?
yes.
Okay.
Yep, we'll link right into the land nav, I think is what they're going with now, is the name of our tax service. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the proposal,
Tax applications.
Can you say that again, Rachel?
So one thing to note about our tax applications, currently they are in-house and we are moving to a hosted solution. They are going to be hosted on Amazon.
Yes, so I don't know if you had a chance to read both quotes, Rachel, but there is a section in the North Point quote that's just states that they will work with me, knowing that we are moving to a cloud-based tax software.
Perfect.
yeah, this is Jen. I don't really have a question, just some other feedback too, I guess. So Brittany's not the only one giving feedback, but yeah, I feel like if we have the software and the server, if we have all the infrastructure already, I think it makes sense for us to go towards the self-hosted route. It's kind of something we've been working towards for a couple of years now. And like Brittany said, it will be a lot easier to, you know, when we have changes, you know, if I need to make a change to the parcel maps, that it would show either, you know, immediately or, you know, the next day, instead of having to go through another company to arrange that update or upload.
Yeah, because with Beacon, I believe it's a weekly upload as well. So unless it's, you know, kind of an emergency, I don't know how they handle that. WG Extreme would update if it was something I pressure, you know, kind of put a high priority behind if they had time. I don't know if Beacon went over that in their quote as far as those not regular updates.
One other thing I think is nice about doing a self-hosted option is that we, you know, can decide when and how we want to implement other pieces to our map, such as, you know, markers for section corners and linking that to the record, you know, a PDF of the record, as well as maps of survey, putting a little icon or marker on that when you click on it, you can see immediately this area of land has been surveyed, and then you can click to a link that gets you right to the map itself.
Yeah, that's something I'm really excited about, is either way we go with this, that is a priority of mine, because once we have that transition of the new map, then we will either add on with Beacon, which will be, you know, a significant fee for the setup of the PLS map, or a setup of the self-hosted map. And personally, I want to make more web maps than just our parcel map. So I think if we have the one, I can just, replicate that, and then we wouldn't have a setup fee for a new PLS or a surveyor map, whatever we end up calling it. On top of, I'm excited about a recreation map. So if we go that way, there's a lot more options. To utilize my time instead of contracting the services out or paying Beacon to, initial setup fees.
Mhm.
So from my.
I have a question on the data. So considering you want the on-premise and use North Point, do you know how much data there would be to transfer over to our environment?
Currently, right now, WG Extreme, I think had about 2 to 3 gigabytes of data that they hosted of ours, which really isn't much. That was what they got back to me on. I think Beacon quoted, our quote is up to 10 gigabytes of data. So that's got to be them taking the data and condensing it down, because that's no way that's the raw data. Because like our imagery, is quite hefty, but if you tile it, what is called tiling down, it reduces the size of it greatly.
Mhm.
So I'm imagining that's got to be the tiled down data sets. That's just a rough estimate, is 10 gigabytes, but that's with everything tiled down. So we wouldn't need to put that on the outside the firewall side, but we would have to have it on the inside of the firewall.
So can you get confirmation of what the size is exactly, including what you intend to keep on inside on our on-premise server?
I sure can.
Then I'll have to
Oh,
I'll have
sorry.
to verify the hardware that we have.
Yeah, I was just gonna note that I know that we still have lots of room on the server right now, on the GIS server, so I've barely used any of it, so.
And what do you see for the growth of the data in the next, say, 5 years?
Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword. Are we talking data hosted to the public, or are we talking just Ashland County's GIS data?
Whatever data that you plan to house on our on-premise server.
On the replicated outside the firewall or inside the firewall?
I would say both.
Okay, well, on the outside, I would maybe in the next 5 years, double the 10 to 20. If we have a few more web maps, I think our personal map is going to be the most in-depth map we have, the biggest map. That also includes our zoning map. That will be a standalone web map, but for this conversation, it's bundled because both contracts are with it. But if we added like a recreation map and a surveyor map, maybe we could double that to 10 gigabytes of GIS data outside the firewall. And then on the inside, that's really hard to tell, and that all depends on how many ortho imageries we go with, how many, if we do more LiDAR data products. So that's a really hard estimate to judge.
What resolution we use,
Right, yeah.
'cause that's a lot.
Right.
Do you
'Cause
know
even
what you have currently, Brittany?
No, I was just gonna say, even offhand, I have I do not know how many, gigabytes or if it's a terabyte of data that we have. I kind of have like archive data and then I have active data, and so that's a hard estimate.
Okay, would you be able to get that information to me?
Yeah, I could calculate it.
Okay,
And I could also kind of give you a rough estimate of the next 5 years, but that's really rough.
yeah, that would be super helpful. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep. Julie, did you have a data question? Thought you were gonna say something, but we might have
Oh,
covered.
I was just gonna say from our office, the survey information and the corners on the site would be fabulous. It'd be really helpful.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the surveyors, every time they speak to me,
Mhm.
they're like, can we get this on a map?
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the logistics of that is gonna have to be figured out because right now it's not hosted somewhere we can just access it, because right now it's in Tryman, right?
Right, correct.
Yep.
Mhm,
So we'd
Mhm.
have to set up a new system or host
Right.
those
It
documents.
takes some
not-
work, but it
Yeah.
would be great.
Yeah. Yep. All right, any other questions, comments, feedback on a web map for 2024?
What was your time frame for?
So with both contracts, it would be completed by January 2024. Just due to the fact that WG Extreme is no longer offering the services after then. I did speak with WG Extreme and they said they have a month or two wiggle room if we need to continue, but they don't want to push it much farther than that, because their staff is going to be moving on to other services and projects.
Okay, so if we go into like February 2024, that's probably possible.
That is possible. Yep. The last time I spoke with
You have a call
WG.
parked on 174, Tilton's intake, you have a call parked on 174.
The last time I spoke with WG Extreme, they said that they could do a couple months after if we needed to.
Okay,
Both contracts were to be completed beforehand, although with North Point, I imagine we have a little bit more wiggle room with them because they are working with us directly on getting that self-hosted, whereas Beacon would probably just complete it before then because they're doing it
Mhm.
all on their end.
okay. So are you leaning towards North Point and having a hosted server? What's your thought?
Yes, I definitely am. I think that the customizableness of the map, I don't have any official web maps out there, but I have made web maps for the flooding. I made a web map, I made a couple during COVID. I made another one for Liz, the public health nurse. I'm working on one right now for highway, for some internal stuff they're doing. I made a couple for our previous zoning administrator. So I'm feeling pretty confident on self-hosting maps. Except for, this one is something that is used every day by a lot of people instead of just internally used. So I do want some help getting it set up just to make sure it's secure and that it functions well. And then talking to Bayfield County and knowing that they also use North Point to set it up, that was a major thing. Scott's the Bayfield County LIO said that there's not too much to do once it's running smoothly until you want to make changes, you know. Or if there's a change to where the, you know, to say the tax rolls, you know, software or something along those lines, then there's going to be some additional changes. But I feel confident that once it's set up, that it can be, that I can manage it, update it, maintain it. Or if not, North Point's hourly rate is fantastic. So if we need to do, you know, a little bit of outreach with them, I think it'll fit into the budget nicely in the future.
Okay, for me, I would just like to review the amount of data and review our hardware environment and go from there.
Yeah, I did have a comment from Bruce. I spoke with him earlier. He wasn't sure if his mic was going to work or not. He said that as his previous experience with being a plumber, it's very nice when Ashland County and Bayfield County have the same systems and softwares and whatnot, so that he knows exactly what he's doing when he gets onto the other county. And I think that's a great point, because we have so many people that you know, live in Bayfield, work in Ashland, live in Bayfield, that, you know, that back and forth is major for our public constituents. Yeah, and Bruce said he would like to go towards the Bayfield County site. He was referencing Iron County as well, and he didn't like that one as much, but that isn't an option for us, so. That was Bruce's comments. Because of the time frame, I know Rachel wants to get back on these amounts, but I just don't see us hosting another meeting until December, which is way too far. Beacon needs to know by the end of this month if we're going with them or not. So I would feel more confident if we made a decision today, just because of the tight timeline.
Or can we do it by email? Once that information is given to Rachel.
$15,000. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I won't be able to give a decision before reviewing our environment to see if it'll allow for this.
Right. If the council is comfortable with myself making that call, after Rachel's been able to review and kind of discuss that a little bit more in depth. I think because both contracts are on the low end, I think it might be okay. But usually a big decision like this, I like to put to the council because I don't want to hold that power.
Yeah, so this is Jen. I have a question. So what would happen if we didn't, you know, have enough infrastructure for self-hosting? I mean, will we just nix it all together, or would we go out and get more storage or whatever needed?
So yeah, those would be the two options, either nixing the project or purchasing more hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think that hardware is a grant allowable expense for the Wisconsin Land Information Grants. So I could easily do a quick grant amendment with the state, and I would foresee 95% confidence that they would award that amendment for more hardware for this project, because that's exactly what these grants are for. So.
Perfect. It sounds like you're covered.
Awesome. So are you feeling more confident on that then, Rachel?
Like I said before, I can't say our existing hardware would support what you're asking to do. So I certainly need some time to see what it is, see the amount of data, and then go from there.
Okay, that sounds great. I think we do have that backup option of a grant amendment to get more hardware. I guess I would like to see a motion to approve the self-hosted contract with North Point as the initial setup vendor.
This is Jen, I'll so move. And then in the event that there's not enough storage, that Brittany can go ahead and work with the grant to update that and get that.
Okay, we had a friendly amendment to that motion. Or were you making the motion?
I was making the motion.
Okay,
yeah.
Jen is making the motion that we go with North Point as the initial setup contract to self-host, and in the event that we don't have enough storage, that the LIO look into the grants to get an amendment to cover any storage needs.
Yep.
Okay.
This is Julie. I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposition? All right, motion carried. Awesome. Okay, and then item number 7. We have discussion and action on land notification, Tryman product proposal. Yeah, so Julie brought this to my attention, so I will let her kind of give a brief overrun on what land notification is.
Okay, so one of the fastest growing fraud in the United States is property fraud. And so I'm just going to read a little blurb about that and land notification. We have Tryman as our hosting software, and they have a module. It's called land notification, and it says, this helps property owners prevent fraud by arming them with information about documents that are being recorded against their name, business, or property. Each time there is a recording activity on a specific property or name, an email is generated notifying the appropriate individual of this activity. The email is customized by each county, and this is a free service to our constituents. They sign up for the program, they put their email in, they put their parcel number in or their legal description. And if we record something in our office that has that information in it, email is automatically generated to them, telling them that a document was recorded. I have had an attorney contact me asking me if we have this, and he has said that a lot of his clients are asking him about this. So it is a wide upcoming fraud. I know Florida, but a lot of other states have this mandatory that counties have this alert. Wisconsin does not. About 3/4 of the counties in Wisconsin do subscribe to a module or the software for this. Ashland County does not. The cost would be, there's a one-time cost for the software and the services of $5,900. And then with our contract, there's an annual increase for support of $750. So my recommendation is, I think that Ashland County should purchase this software module from Tryman, but I'm just looking for guidance from the council.
One thing that their proposal says is that, it kind of can help generate revenue by getting more people into the land shark, which is where people view their
Mhm.
recorded documents.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that this council makes its annual budget is
Mhm.
through that money. So
Mm. Does anybody have any questions? Or comments?
yeah,
was
I
gonna
guess.
say-
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not really just a statement that I have heard of this stuff going on in other states, that it would definitely benefit us to have a program like this to kind of pay attention.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, this is Jennifer. In my office as well, I get people asking for some sort of notification, not exactly, what you're talking about, but this would help, as far as just alerting them of any activity on the property. Yeah, I think this would be really useful for the public. We'll have to do a lot of I don't know, outreach or just
PR
marketing,
probably.
PR, to just kind of really blast it out there and let people know that it's an option so that it gets used.
Mhm.
That'd be the only thing I'd worry about is, if,
There would be flyers sent out with
right.
recordings and
yeah,
that we can hand out to people and
Okay.
do press releases and such.
sure.
Is it something that like closing companies could also kind of advertise for
We could
us?
give them some flyers also.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. Yeah, if they would be
Or
willing to,
attorneys.
yeah.
Yeah,
We could do a media blitz.
right. Yeah, it's nice that they're gonna provide some sample marketing
Right.
And we can
materials.
put it on our website
Yep.
under registered.
And we
deeds.
could probably even, let local banks know, because I'm sure that's something that could be important to the bank, if they have a mortgage on the property, but also
Sure.
it's something they can tell their clients
Mhm.
too, just to protect themselves.
Correct.
So if we were to do this, um, like, where would this come from, like, budget wise, I guess?
Budget wise for 2023, this would not be in a grant. I could write it into a grant for 2024. Because I write those grants starting in October and then we approve them here in December.
Right.
I don't know if Tryman would be willing to keep these prices for a payment in 2020.
This was through
Through the
December
last day.
28th.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Technically, I cannot make a 2024 grant purchase until the 1st
Sure.
of January.
But I can talk to Tryman and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, would we be able to basically agree to this
Mhm.
product by that date, but then they don't invoice us until the
Correct.
next year? I
Right.
mean,
Right, and
Maybe.
they work with grants all the time.
Yeah.
so
Awesome.
They're-
Yeah,
They're
I-
pretty open to that.
I think if we
Mhm.
could squeeze this into the 2024 grant, that would be perfect for me.
Mhm.
Even with my maternity leave, with the project of the web map. I'd like to leave a little cushion there just so we don't
Right.
go completely over budget
'Cause
this year.
We do have to migrate to the new server for Tryman also, so that's some. that's
Right,
a
that's another hefty,
Bunch.
yes, yes, exactly. So we've got some unexpected costs this year, but luckily my maternity leave kind of made up for that. So
Yeah.
a little gift of funds there that we can use. So yeah. So I guess I would be feeling confident enough to make the motion to approve this proposal funded through the 2024 grants.
okay. Great. Was that a motion?
That is a motion. I need a
Okay.
second, yes.
I will second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion carried. All right, item number 8. is the expense and revenue report for 2022. This was kind of the wrap up of 2022. So I started tracking every expense and where it comes from. So the left is just the expense and the account it comes out of, and then the right is does it come out of a specific grant or just kind of my existing land records money. So that's what you're kind of looking at here. And we did go over budget just a smidgen. We budgeted 167 and we spent 181,000. So we went over a bit, but that 180 is usually where we tend to run, and financially we're doing okay in the land records accounts because we made 186,000 last year. So we actually made more than I spent. So we're doing okay. Plus we have that existing land records money as well. And so, yeah, this is the revenue report. Each revenue based on which fund it comes in. As of 2023 January, we had $180,000 in our accounts. So that's usually what I tend to spend a year. However, that does not include 2023's grants that came in, which is roughly 150. So we're sitting about the same as when I came into the position 5 years ago. So financially, we're doing good, which is great. But we've had a lot of big expenses with the LiDAR, and the ortho imagery. So as I watched those giant invoices come in, I was like, wow, that's going to wreck the budget, but it seems to work out. So thank goodness. But yeah, so I'm feeling good. Mike and Steve, our consultants, did recommend that we close out our passbook account. And so we are no longer bringing in that like $100 a month or whatever. But I don't really think that'll do anything to our bottom line. So that's just a little bit of a fee
And we're
or revenue decrease, but
the outlook for recordings is down. So
correct. We have been in like 2 or 3 years of high recording
yes.
documents in the Register of Deeds, which is where we get one of
our base
these.
budget.
So all of this revenue right here is from the recording of deeds. Or no, I'm sorry, this one right here. This 25,000. So that might go down. However, when that goes down, the state usually ups the other grant. So it's kind of a give and take. So they did have a lot of excess money. We got $70,000 in our strategic initiative grant, which was the most I've ever seen this year. So I expect that to come down, but normally that rides around $50,000. So this year was just like an extreme abundance on that one.
The plat book sales revenue that comes through here, right?
That must be the $6,000 right
Okay.
here. And that would have just been 2022. So not the carryover into what's 2023 has earned us.
Right. And our books came out in
22.
Yeah, it's been a year already. Wow.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably the jump that it took, the $2,000 in
Right.
in July.
Yep, that would have been our August recording. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can imagine that one would have continued to sell. The plat
Yeah.
book's selling good.
Yep, the new ones. Yeah, because I see that amount on the bottom there, that 6,000, I think. I don't recall offhand, but that was about what we paid for the
We did break
little bit
even.
more, yeah.
Yeah, we just broke even, I think into the first month of 2023.
Okay, great.
But yeah, the plat book paid for itself already. So
Yep.
I was very excited.
Yep.
Because we hadn't had one in so long. I was worried, but it
Yeah.
worked out great. I think it was a good project and Has anybody had feedback on the plat books?
Yes, all kinds. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
No, it seems like most people are, the plat book's fine. It just looks different. To other people who are maybe used to us having the bigger, longer format for 20+ years, the change was a little difficult for them, and they expressed to me that they really didn't like that change, but I think the majority of people thought it was fine.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, the size was a big change.
Yeah.
And then also having the imagery, that was a big.
Yep, yeah,
difference.
because there's just more information in the book, just even with the images, pictures worth 1,000 words,
Right.
so you can actually see where fields are and stuff. I mean, you can do that through Google Maps or whatever, but I think plat books are more geared towards people who either don't use, cell phones or computers in that way, or who are down in the south part of the county and they have absolutely no service. So
Exactly. Yeah. When you get into the woods, you start to lose service. I'm sure Tom can attest to that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yup.
So, but overall, it's been good.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. So the grants are going well. Funds are doing great. So yeah, a couple unexpected, unbudgeted items, I should say, but nothing too pricey. I think both around the $15,000 mark. So we should be able to cover that and then hopefully just recoup it by not spending too much in 2024. So, yeah. And I don't need a motion on that. Is there any other business today? Okay, we definitely will have our annual December meeting so that we can get those grants approved for 2024. And I'll probably get you guys updated on the web map project via email. Just after I, kind of run over with Rachel, I'll shoot you guys all an email on that one. So that's kind of the only other business I can think of. All right, anything else? Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
Thanks.
Stop recording first, huh?